We're going to have a few more days of above normal temperatures, and our pattern's going to change from that straight west to east flow to more of a wavy type of pattern, and that's going to allow some cooler temperatures to sag into our area, which could also mean a brief shot of snow across the region. Hello everyone, I'm meteorologist Brad Warner for Region Weather Live, your YouTube source for weather across the Dakotas and Minnesota. And before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell button beside it, and make sure you hit the like button as well. And as I said in the beginning, we're going to transition from this flow that's a little more just west to east to more of a dynamic flow that's going to be changing up our weather. And as we get into Wednesday morning, we're going to see already this trough coming in off the Pacific coast and push eastward through time. And what that's going to do is not only bring with it some cooler temperatures, but also bring with it the chance of some precipitation as well. Now, while this trough, as we get into Wednesday night, is actually back in through here, down at the surface feature that's associated with it are usually out ahead of these troughs. So we're actually looking at this system now coming in Wednesday night into Thursday morning. So this is roughly where that surface disturbance would be. And so as we take a look, sure enough, that upper level trough sits back here. Here's our low pressure system and some snow that's going to be on the back side of that low, and will be making its way across the region starting by early Thursday morning around 6 a.m. or so, just reaching the far northwestern parts of North Dakota. And ultimately, it's just going to be scraping the northern quarter of North Dakota. Generally, north of Highway 2 is what we're looking in through here. As you can see, that snow continues to move eastward. It's going to be pretty fast. Actually, by this point, this is about noon, 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. already. It's over by the Arrowhead region of Minnesota. So a quick moving system. And as we take a look at the various models and what they're printing out as far as the possible accumulations of snow, you can see it's really not going to be much, generally an inch or less across the northern parts of our region. But Thursday might not be all that great nevertheless, as that front sweeps down south and east. Out ahead of it, we're going to be looking at some strong winds. These are going to be kind of south-southwesterly winds, gusting to 40 miles per hour. And then on the back side of that, we're looking at gusts 45, perhaps even 50 miles per hour in some areas across the Dakotas as we go through the day on Thursday. And as we get into the evening hours Thursday, they begin to diminish just a bit. We're still looking 35 miles per hour. So except for along the North Shore here, we're still looking at some pretty strong gusts off the shore, where we're going to be looking at, before kind of that front really makes it through, still the possibility of some 45 to 50 miles per hour. But once that front makes its way through a little bit later into the evening, most of the winds kind of diminish to the 30 to perhaps 35 mile per hour range. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, perhaps lingering a bit into Saturday as well. We've got that trough that swings through our area, bringing in the colder temperatures and some windy conditions, as I just shown you. But once we get that little system out of the way, and more so probably as we get into Sunday, look at this, we still got another ridge that wants to develop into our region that's going to be allowing for some more warmer temperatures back into the region as we get into maybe even late Saturday, but for sure on Sunday. And then as we get into the week a little more, that's when things become a little more dicey. And so our pattern going into the week of Thanksgiving really changes things. Look at how we got this big old wavy pattern across the U.S., allowing some cold temperatures to sink into the south. And of course, out ahead of this, we've got some warm air coming in off the Gulf and off the Atlantic coast. And with that clashing of the air mass, that's of course where we're going to have a developing storm rolling across the United States, bringing rain and snow and wind as we go on through Thanksgiving week. Now, initially, we should have enough warm air still built into place once this storm gets going, that as we get into Monday morning, most of this should fall as rain. But we do have kind of that secondary system. We've got that trough that really digs in deep and allows another storm, surface storm, to develop a little bit further to the north, and that's going to be allowing some colder air to start diving into our area. So perhaps as we get into Monday evening, some of this rain is going to transition over to snow into eastern parts of the Dakotas, and then spread eastward through the overnight hours Monday night and into Tuesday morning, and then perhaps lingering a little bit into the north central, northeastern parts of Minnesota throughout the day on Tuesday. And perhaps one other thing to keep in mind, take a look at these tightly packed black lines, these surface pressure lines, and the tighter they're packed, generally the stronger their winds will be. So perhaps as we get into the day on Tuesday, we could have some strong northerly winds across Minnesota as well. Now that's looking pretty far out there and it's got a lot to determine yet, but models are agreeing that we are looking at a system pulling out of the southern plains and moving off to the north and east as we get into the beginning and middle part of Thanksgiving week. Now, normally I don't cover the whole United States, but boy, Thanksgiving is just one of the largest travel days of the year. People are moving all over the place. They're going to grandma's house. They're going to mom's house. They got flights planned and all this stuff. And not to mention, I normally don't forecast that far out. I don't like to do it. But nevertheless, models have been indicating, or at least agreeing, that as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday, we could have a potent system running across the eastern seaboard, bringing rain and thunderstorms, and perhaps even bringing some areas of snow across the far, far northern reaches of New England. Now, the good news is, for now, it looks like this system should pass the U.S. by Thanksgiving Day, by Thursday. But the unfortunate thing for us, and this is a little bit new on some of the models, is they're starting to indicate perhaps some snow across our region by Friday. So again, quite a ways out there. We're looking at over 10 days away, but I just kind of want to give people a little bit of a heads up just so they can plan some of their travel out ahead of time. And with that active pattern, ultimately it's going to be allowing colder air to sag into our area. So as we get into Thursday, here's kind of looking at our high temperatures for Thursday. We're going to be having a lot of areas struggling to get above freezing for Thanksgiving Day. The way it looks, going to be a bit of a cold one out in grandma's house on Thursday. Friday, a little more of the same, still quite cold. Highs maybe only reaching the teens across North Dakota. And then Saturday, more of the same. And actually, as we get into Sunday, more of you continue to plunge into the coldness. Pretty much everybody by the weekend, by Thanksgiving weekend, are going to be struggling to get above freezing. Our low temperatures as we get into Thursday and Friday, those morning lows are going to be dipping down into the single digits. Saturday morning, perhaps we could see our first little round of below zero temperatures for your morning lows down in the southwestern parts of North Dakota. And that's going to continue to spread into Sunday and Monday, so quite cold, running through Thanksgiving weekend. Well, there's your forecast over the next 10 days. Hopefully that'll help with some of your travel plans throughout that time as we continue into that Thanksgiving week. Everybody travel safely. Make sure you keep up to date with the latest weather information. And of course, hit the subscribe button down below and hit the bell button as well. All right, everybody, for Region Weather Live, I'm meteorologist Brad Warner. Everybody have a good day.